In this video, we will take you on a tour of the beautiful St. Josaphat Basilica in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
When we travel to Europe, in France or in Spain or in Italy, visiting churches and cathedrals is always a big part of our trip.
But in the US, it's rarely the case, because churches tend to be smaller and newer, and to be honest, they're just not as nice as in Europe.
St. Josaphat happens to be a beautiful church, and it's right here in the Lincoln Village neighborhood of Milwaukee.
In the late 1800s, Lincoln Village became a big Polish neighborhood, and the neighboring parish of St. Stanislaus eventually became too small.
The construction of St. Josaphat started in 1897 and was completed 4 years later in 1901.
St. Josaphat was modeled after St. Peter's in Rome, and even though it's smaller than St. Peter's, it's still a massive church, the biggest in Milwaukee.
Like St. Peter's in Rome, St. Josaphat has a huge dome in the center that's more than 200 feet tall.
But what's most impressive about St. Josaphat is that there isn't a single square inch that is not painted.
Throughout the whole church, there are motifs and sculptures and stained glass windows.
And even though there's a lot going on in the design, it doesn't feel overwhelming.
And on each side of the church, there are two large paintings of Polish history.
And they have no religious theme whatsoever.
We were lucky enough to have access to parts of the church that are not open to the public.
We went on top of the bell tower, and from there you have a beautiful view of the city, with the skyline in the background.
It was really cool to see the bells from up close. Some of those bells are huge. And then we went to see the dome.
It was pretty tight to go up to the cupola, and I feared for my life the whole way up.
I'm afraid of heights, so I took a pass on that one.
But the view from the top is even more spectacular than from the bell tower.
And while he risked his life climbing on top of the dome, I walked all around the dome, from which you have amazing views of the paintings and the church underneath. And on the way down, we were able to see the pipe organ.
We can't pretend we fully understand how it works, but it was pretty cool to see all the pipes and rods behind the scene.
In the lower church, there are panels that explain the history of the church.
And we were interested to learn about a Chicago connection. The basilica was built by salvaging stones from the Chicago Post Office and Customs House that was being demolished at the time.
200,000 tons of salvaged material came by rail from Chicago to Milwaukee on 500 flat cars.
And what's remarkable is that they fit all these stones together like a jigsaw puzzle to build the basilica.
And the whole church was built by parishioners in order to save money.
And some of them even mortgaged their house to help finance the construction.
The best view of the church can be found by walking to the neighboring Kosciuszko Park,
with the pond and the basilica in the background.
If you ever visit Milwaukee, the St. Josaphat Basilica should definitely be on your list.